Men, here's the truth. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, her reaction can be more powerful than anything you've done while chasing her. Women are highly attuned to emotional cues, and they notice when a man steps back, disengages, or no longer invests energy as he once did. This shift changes the dynamic instantly, and understanding how she reacts gives you insight into female psychology and attraction. Many men underestimate this power because they think that showing less interest will make a woman pull away or lose respect. In reality, the opposite happens. When a man emotionally detaches while remaining grounded and confident, it triggers reflection, curiosity, and desire in her. Women are wired to value what is not automatically available. When they sense you are no longer chasing, their subconscious mind begins to evaluate why and what they might be missing. This isn't about playing games or manipulating her. It's about understanding human nature and using self-respect as a tool to create attraction. Her reactions reveal her feelings, her investment level, and how your presence affects her emotionally. Some women will become introspective, others may test boundaries, and some may act impulsively in an attempt to regain your attention. In this guide, we'll explore the 7 most common reactions a woman has when she realizes you've lost interest. Each section will show you what to expect, why it happens, and how your calm, confident detachment influences her thoughts and feelings. By understanding these responses, you gain clarity, avoid chasing behavior, and allow attraction to grow naturally. 1. She starts to notice your absence. The first reaction a woman has when she realizes you've lost interest is that she begins to notice your absence. When a man stops overinvesting, stops chasing, or reduces his availability, it creates a subtle shift that she feels immediately. Women are attuned to energy and attention, and the sudden lack of it makes them reflect on your presence in their life. Many men underestimate the power of absence. They think that pulling back will make a woman lose interest or move on. But the opposite is true when done correctly. Your absence creates emotional space, which forces her to consider her feelings and your value. She begins replaying interactions, remembering your confidence, emotional stability, and the moments that made her feel understood or appreciated. This reaction is deeply tied to scarcity. When your attention and energy are no longer freely available, it automatically increases their perceived value. Women naturally want what they can't have easily. By stepping back, you signal that your presence is not guaranteed, making her evaluate her own actions and her level of interest in you. Noticing your absence often leads to subtle changes in behavior. She may reach out more, engage in playful teasing, or attempt to provoke a response to gauge if you're truly detached. These are not manipulative moves. They are her subconscious way of testing boundaries and assessing whether your attention is worth pursuing. It's important to note that her noticing your absence doesn't mean immediate results. Some women will reflect quietly, while others may react quickly. Either way, this awareness sets the stage for emotional tension and curiosity, both of which are critical for attraction. The key is to remain calm, grounded, and consistent in your detachment. Do not chase, over-explain, or react impulsively, as doing so undermines the impact of your absence. Absence also amplifies other qualities you possess, such as confidence and purpose. When she feels the gap left by your reduced engagement, she unconsciously recalls why she valued your presence in the first place. That reflection often triggers introspection, making her more aware of her own feelings and the emotional space you occupy in her mind. By strategically stepping back and creating absence, you shift the dynamic from one where you are actively seeking her approval to one where your energy is selective and intentional. This reaction, her noticing your absence, is often the first clear indicator that she is beginning to process your change in interest and that attraction is being rebalanced in your favor. 2. She becomes more curious. The second reaction a woman shows when she realizes you've lost interest is curiosity. Once your attention is no longer automatic, she begins to wonder what changed, why you're behaving differently, and what your life looks like without her constant presence. This curiosity is a natural psychological response to scarcity and emotional tension. It pulls her into reflection and introspection. Curiosity is triggered because your detachment challenges her expectations. Many women are accustomed to men who are readily available, eager to please, or responsive at all times. When that pattern shifts, it creates a gap in her perception of the relationship or interaction. She starts paying closer attention to your behavior, messages, and presence, trying to understand what motivated the change. That reflection is a powerful tool for attraction because it makes her emotionally invested in decoding your intentions. This is also why unpredictability works hand in hand with detachment. When you maintain your composure, focus on your life, and selectively engage, you become a figure she wants to understand. She might analyze past conversations, wonder about your interests, or even compare you to other men. That mental energy she invests increases her emotional connection, even if she consciously tells herself she isn't interested. Curiosity also intersects with the memory of how you made her feel. If you consistently demonstrated confidence, emotional stability, and purpose, she recalls those moments while trying to figure out why your behavior has shifted. Her mind creates a feedback loop. She notices your absence, remembers your impact, and questions what changed, which intensifies emotional investment. Many men fear that stepping back will make her move on, but curiosity works in the opposite way when detachment is executed properly. The more she reflects and wonders about you, the more space you create for attraction to grow organically. She may start seeking subtle cues, observing your social activity, or wondering whether you're dating others. These behaviors are indicators that your detachment is creating emotional tension and sparking desire. It's critical during this phase to remain consistent. Curiosity is fueled by your selective engagement and emotional stability. Overreacting, chasing, or offering excessive explanations diminishes the effect and breaks the subtle pull you've created. Instead, maintain your life, show value through action rather than words, and allow her mental engagement to build naturally. Ultimately, a woman's curiosity is a strong signal that your shift in interest is having an impact. She's no longer taking your presence for granted, and her thoughts increasingly revolve around you. That mental and emotional investment sets the stage for subsequent reactions, making her more likely to reassess her behavior and consider what it would take to regain your attention and favor. 3. She tests you subtly. The third reaction a woman often displays when she realizes you've lost interest is testing. These tests are subtle, psychological ways for her to gauge whether your detachment is real and to see if she can regain your attention or influence your behavior. This is not manipulation in a harmful sense. It's a natural response to uncertainty and curiosity. Women are wired to assess emotional investment, boundaries, and consistency in a man, and your loss of apparent interest triggers this instinct. Tests can take many forms. She might increase communication unexpectedly, send ambiguous messages, or create scenarios where your reaction reveals your level of engagement. She could also display slight jealousy, mention other men, or flirt subtly to see if you respond. These behaviors are her way of measuring your emotional control and gauging whether the dynamic can be shifted back in her favor. It's essential to understand that testing is not a reflection of disinterest. It's evidence that your presence still matters to her. A woman who truly has no connection or curiosity will not invest mental or emotional energy into testing you. The very act of testing indicates that she is aware of your value and is trying to assess how she fits into your life. Your response to these tests determines how the situation unfolds. If you react impulsively, over-explain, or chase, you reinforce old patterns and diminish attraction. On the other hand, if you remain calm, composed, and maintain your boundaries, you send a clear message, your attention is earned, and your energy is intentional. This reinforces scarcity and value, making her efforts to engage more meaningful. Subtle testing also amplifies emotional tension. When a woman experiments with boundaries, she creates situations where both her curiosity and desire are heightened. She watches your reactions, consciously or unconsciously comparing them to her expectations, and this reflection strengthens her emotional connection. The uncertainty she experiences fuels pursuit because she recognizes that your attention is no longer automatic. It's important to note that these tests are generally minor and non-confrontational. They are rarely about conflict. They are about observation and measurement. A woman wants to understand your emotional state, your standards, and how firmly you stand in your detachment. Each interaction is a probe that allows her to evaluate whether your loss of interest is genuine or temporary. Ultimately, her testing behavior is a positive indicator. It shows that you've created emotional impact, curiosity, and tension through your detachment. By remaining steady, confident, and selective in your engagement, you strengthen attraction and position yourself as a man who commands respect, value, and intrigue. These subtle tests demonstrate that even when a woman claims she isn't interested, she is still invested and responsive to the dynamic you've created. 4. She starts to reflect on her behavior. The fourth reaction a woman displays when she realizes you've lost interest is introspection. Once your attention and energy are no longer automatic, she begins to reflect on her own actions, decisions, and the way she treated you. This reflection is a powerful psychological response because it forces her to confront her feelings and evaluate the role you played in her life. Reflection often begins subtly. She may replay past conversations, analyze moments where she could have been more attentive or engaged, or consider why you seemed distant in the past. She may ask herself questions like, "Did I take him for granted?" Or, "Why did he stop showing interest?" This self-evaluation is not about immediate reconciliation. It's about understanding what she lost when you stepped back. Many men don't realize the impact their detachment can have on a woman's self-awareness. When you remain calm, confident, and consistent in your boundaries, it creates a mirror for her behavior. She notices the contrast between her past actions and the energy you now exhibit. This reflection can spark a desire to re-engage, not out of manipulation, but because she recognizes your value and the emotional space she has left open. Reflection also interacts with curiosity and testing. As she evaluates her behavior, she may try to gauge your reactions through subtle interactions, or she may consider whether she needs to adjust her approach to regain your attention. This combination of introspection and testing amplifies her mental and emotional investment, even if she isn't consciously aware of it. Another important aspect of reflection is the recognition of lost emotional connection. She begins to remember the positive impact you had on her life, how your presence made her feel safe, valued, or inspired. That memory becomes more prominent in the absence of your attention, creating a psychological pull toward you. The contrast between what she had and the emotional gap now present encourages desire and emotional engagement. It's crucial during this phase to maintain consistency. Reflection works best when you continue to embody confidence, emotional stability, and purposeful detachment. Any signs of desperation, over-explanation, or erratic behavior can disrupt her self-evaluation and reduce the impact of your absence. By remaining steady, you allow her reflection to deepen naturally. Ultimately, her introspection is a strong indicator that your shift in interest is having an effect. It shows that she values the connection, is considering her own behavior, and is emotionally tethered even as she tries to process your detachment. By understanding this reaction, you gain clarity and control over the dynamic, allowing attraction to grow without chasing, pressure, or compromise. 5. She becomes more attentive. The fifth reaction a woman often exhibits when she realizes you've lost interest is increased attentiveness. Once she senses that your emotional investment has shifted, she begins paying closer attention to your words, actions, and behavior. This attentiveness is subtle at first. She notices your routines, the way you interact with others, and even minor changes in your energy, but it grows as she processes her feelings and the implications of your detachment. Increased attentiveness is rooted in the subconscious drive to reconnect with value. When a woman realizes that a man she cared about is no longer automatically present, her mind and emotions become more alert to his presence. She begins evaluating what she might have overlooked, what she misses, and what it would take to regain connection. This heightened awareness often translates into more engagement, playful interactions, and curiosity about your life. Many men fail to recognize this reaction because they focus on explicit communication, messages, calls, or direct feedback. Attentiveness is often nonverbal. She observes your demeanor, watches for patterns in your interactions, and tests the boundaries you've set. The more she pays attention without demanding your time or energy, the more she is internally processing her emotions and considering the value you bring into her life. This attentiveness is amplified by your consistent emotional stability and confidence. When you do not chase or overreact to her subtle cues, she is forced to engage on her own terms. She notices that your focus is not easily swayed, which increases respect and heightens curiosity. Every action you take now carries more weight because your energy is deliberate rather than automatic. Her increased attentiveness also intersects with reflection and curiosity. As she reflects on her past behavior and observes your current composure, she begins to measure what she lost and how her actions may have contributed to your detachment. This process intensifies her mental and emotional engagement, often leading her to consider ways to regain your attention or reconnect on her own terms. It's crucial during this stage to remain consistent. If you react impulsively to her heightened attentiveness or give in to pressure, it diminishes the effect and signals neediness. Instead, allow her observation and curiosity to play out naturally while maintaining your independence, purpose, and selective engagement. This creates emotional tension, desire, and a deeper connection that she cannot easily ignore. Ultimately, a woman's increased attentiveness is a strong indicator that your shift in interest is influencing her emotions. She is actively processing your absence, evaluating her own behavior, and considering her next steps. By maintaining composure, emotional stability, and purposeful detachment, you leverage this attentiveness to create attraction, deepen connection, and position yourself as someone she cannot easily forget. 6. She may try to rekindle connection. The sixth reaction a woman often displays when she realizes you've lost interest is an attempt to rekindle connection. Once she senses your detachment, her subconscious mind may prompt her to reestablish emotional closeness or regain your attention. This can manifest in subtle ways like increased texting, social media engagement, or seeking shared experiences, or in more direct ways such as asking to meet up or engaging in deeper conversations. These attempts are driven by recognition of your value and the emotional gap created by your absence. When you consistently demonstrated confidence, purpose, and emotional stability, she internalized the significance of your presence. Your withdrawal signals a loss she didn't anticipate, triggering a desire to re-engage. This is not manipulation on her part. It's a natural response to scarcity and emotional tension. Many men fail to recognize the importance of these attempts. They may see them as attention-seeking or controlling, but in reality, they are indicators that she is processing her feelings and attempting to regain balance in the dynamic. Her efforts often reveal how much she values your energy, your presence, and the way you made her feel when you were fully engaged. It's essential to approach this stage with emotional intelligence, respond selectively, maintain boundaries, and avoid over-investing. Overreacting or giving in to her attempts too quickly diminishes the impact of your detachment and reduces the natural pull she feels. Instead, respond in ways that are intentional, calm, and measured. This ensures that the reconnection remains meaningful and does not compromise the attraction dynamic you've created. Her attempts to reconnect are often subtle. She may initiate playful banter, show vulnerability, or create opportunities to spend time together. These behaviors are signals that she is emotionally invested and trying to gauge whether your detachment is permanent. By observing without overreacting, you allow her to process her emotions fully, which increases her awareness of your value and deepens her desire. This stage also interacts with her previous reactions: curiosity, reflection, and attentiveness. By this point, she has been analyzing your behavior, considering her own actions, and assessing the emotional impact of your absence. Her attempts to reconnect are a natural extension of that internal processing. Ultimately, her efforts to reestablish connection show that your detachment is working. She is acknowledging your value, processing her emotions, and beginning to act on the subconscious pull created by your selective engagement. By maintaining composure, confidence, and boundaries, you ensure that any reconnection occurs on terms that enhance attraction, respect, and emotional investment. 7. She reevaluates her feelings. The seventh and final reaction a woman often displays when she realizes you've lost interest is reevaluation. This is the stage where she begins to question her own emotions, her behavior toward you, and the significance of your presence in her life. It's a subtle, internal process that occurs over time, but it is one of the most powerful indicators that your detachment has created meaningful impact. When a woman senses that a man no longer prioritizes her, she instinctively compares the past dynamic with the current one. She reflects on moments when you showed confidence, purpose, and emotional stability, and contrasts them with her recent experiences. This comparison highlights the value you brought into her life and the scarcity created by your withdrawal, intensifying desire and emotional engagement. Reevaluation also involves questioning her own behavior. She may think about whether she took your attention for granted, failed to invest equally, or acted in ways that pushed you away. These reflections are not always conscious, but they influence her emotions and drive her to consider what she could do differently if she wants to regain your attention or rebuild connection. Many men underestimate the effect of this internal reevaluation. They assume that absence or reduced attention will simply create distance, but the opposite occurs when detachment is executed with confidence and consistency. The gap you create allows her to experience the consequences of her choices, which naturally leads to introspection and recognition of your value. During this stage, she may display changes in behavior, more attentiveness, subtle flirtation, or increased communication. However, the underlying driver is not just action. It is the mental and emotional recalibration happening internally. She is beginning to align her desire and behavior with the understanding that your presence is significant and not guaranteed. It's important to remain grounded and consistent during this phase. Your composure and independence reinforce the lessons she is learning internally. Overreacting, chasing, or offering excessive explanations undermines her reevaluation and diminishes the pull that detachment has created. Instead, allow her internal process to unfold naturally, giving her the space to recognize her own feelings and the impact you have on her. Ultimately, reevaluation is the culmination of all previous reactions. Noticing your absence, becoming curious, testing boundaries, reflecting on her behavior, showing attentiveness, and attempting reconnection. It is the stage where she integrates all these signals and begins to consciously and subconsciously appreciate your value, your energy, and the emotional impact you've left behind. Her reevaluation makes it difficult for her to fully disengage. Even if she claims indifference, she is processing your absence, analyzing her actions, and considering the significance of your presence. By maintaining consistency, confidence, and composure, you ensure that this process leads to attraction, respect, and emotional investment that is difficult for her to ignore. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, her reactions reveal the depth of her emotional connection and the impact of your presence. From noticing your absence to reflecting on her behavior, becoming curious, testing boundaries, increasing attentiveness, attempting reconnection, and ultimately reevaluating her feelings, each step shows that your detachment creates a powerful psychological and emotional pull. This process is not about playing games. It's about self-mastery, confidence, and intentional engagement. By maintaining composure, purpose, and boundaries, you create emotional tension that naturally draws her attention and stimulates reflection. She begins to value your presence more deeply, assess her own actions, and consider what it would take to regain your connection. The key is consistency. Any reactive behavior or attempts to chase undermine the subtle impact of your detachment. Instead, focus on living your life fully, maintaining independence, and allowing your energy to be intentional. This approach amplifies your value in her eyes and makes your absence felt in a way that fosters desire and attraction. Ultimately, understanding these reactions gives you clarity and control. You see the signals, interpret her behavior accurately, and maintain the high-value presence that keeps her emotionally invested. Even when she outwardly claims indifference, the psychological and emotional pull created by your selective disengagement ensures that your influence remains strong and her attention is subtly drawn back toward you. By mastering this dynamic, you not only protect your energy, but also naturally enhance attraction, respect, and connection. Women are wired to notice shifts in interest, and when you handle that power with confidence and self-respect, you create a magnetic effect that keeps her thinking, feeling, and responding to your presence in ways that most men never realize.